Trading for Russell Westbrook was the dumbest decision in LeBron's career. Even worse than when he pancaked Caruso, which is why he signed with the Bulls. No, I'm kidding. It's actually because they decided to sign Russ instead. And they told Russ, by the way, oh, you don't even have to change your game.
As far as Russ, we need Russ to be Russ. We don't need Russ to change for anybody. That's why we got him.
But was that true? Of course not. They asked him to, play off the ball, play a little defense. The whole world knew that wasn't going to happen, but they were shocked when it didn't work. So why haven't they just traded him? The Lakers have what it takes to replace Russ with better players. They have a 2027 and 2029 first, which are really valuable. With that, they could get any one of these confirmed players. Mike Conley, Bojan Bogdanovic, Jordan Clarkson, Buddy Hield, Miles Turner, and Terry Rozier. All of those are verified trades that were on the table, but there's one big reason the Lakers refuse. And there's also one thing that could happen that would actually force them to trade Russ. It all starts with an explosive report last week. The Athletic says the prospect of Westbrook coming off the bench is being strongly considered. He would be such a better fit coming off the bench. He would get to run his own unit. We all know Russ needs the ball in his hands to do what he does best. He gets in the way of what AD and LeBron are trying to do. But does Russ want this? I think Russ would rather retire. We know that he ruined a deep friendship over it. Russ fired his agent after 14 years because he demanded a trade, but the agent said, look, Russ, your prime is over. The agent told ESPN, my belief is his best option is to stay with the Lakers. Unfortunately, irreconcilable differences exist and we are no longer working together. Frank Vogel got fired because of how he handled Russ. It was obvious last year Russ should be benched, but Vogel refused to because he didn't want to lose him. AKA, he was afraid of Russ. And to be honest, who wouldn't be?
And it's a legitimate question.
Next question.
It's a legitimate question.
Next question.
Well,
next question.
That's why they hired Darvin Ham. He told the Lakers, I've got the voice and the presence to deal with Russell Westbrook. He's this big, imposing guy who's not going to be afraid to bench Russ if he needs to. And now he's got the support of both LeBron James and their front office. If Russ doesn't like it, wants to go home, that's fine. They could either fine him for that or just decide this is what's best for the team. But what Ham is saying for now is that Russ has to compete for the starting job with Patrick Beverley and Dennis Schroder. LeBron and AD are the only guaranteed starters. Everyone else has to earn it, which is actually kind of a slap in the face for a Hall of Fame point guard. Russ already thinks this is an insult. Do you remember what Ham said at his press conference? And how Russ reacted?
Has there been any discussion among you guys about maybe a change in role for him, maybe coming off the bench?
Yeah, I would say yes. Russ and I have had some really, really great one-on-one convos, man. And the biggest word, I think, sacrifice. That was the biggest word. It was sacrifice. We're going to sacrifice whatever we got to do.
Look at Russ there, trying to hide his smile when Ham is talking about sacrifice. There's going to be so much drama. So why don't they just trade him to get rid of the drama? Well, for two big reasons. The first one is cap space. If the Lakers deal with, say, Indiana, they'll have Buddy Hield's $19 million on the books next year. If they deal with Utah, they'll have Mike Conley's partially guaranteed $15 million. But if they keep Russ and ride it out, they'll have about $35 million next summer. That will allow them to sign a huge free agent. The best free agents next year include Kyrie Irving, Chris Middleton, Fred VanVleet, Andrew Wiggins, Tyler Hero, and Jordan Poole, who are both restricted. They won't have enough money for any of those guys or a group of really good role players if they deal for Buddy Hield or Mike Conley. And reason number two to not trade Russ is draft picks. Who cares about some random first-round pick 5 years from now? The Lakers could be planning to combine these picks with their cap space in the offseason to get a superstar. Every offseason, there is some star who wants out, and the only way to get him is through a trade. LA would be able to offer the 2027 and 2029 first-round picks plus a huge trade exception for someone like Damian Lillard. And if you think, oh, just 2 Laker picks isn't good enough, oh no. An anonymous front office just said the 2 Lakers picks are the most powerful things as far as picks go in the league right now. Damn, why is that? Because everyone expects those to be top picks. The Lakers are not a well-run franchise. Once LeBron leaves, they will be a disaster again. In fact, a report says the Jazz were actually considering Russ and the 2 picks for Donovan Mitchell. Of course, there were better offers out there for Spida, but, quote, Danny Ainge knew he could always go back to them. So those picks are really gold next offseason. But LeBron will be 39 next year. You can't just waste this whole next year of his career hoping to get like a Dame or someone next offseason. But there is a solution to all of this. Did you see Russ in that viral video of him fixing his shooting stroke? He could revive his career. I'm just kidding, that's not gonna happen. The actual key to winning this season is Anthony Davis. Last year, he shot 19% from 3, by far his worst season ever. Oh, not to mention he only played in 40 games. How do we have a unicorn, potentially top 5 player in the league, in his prime and not put all the pressure on that guy? He could be MVP of the league. Think about that. The fact that LA has a potential MVP right now and we don't talk about it is nuts. But there is one way that a Russ trade still happens. The benching thing is real. He will come into camp, and if Pat Bev can do the little things better like play D, play off the ball, which we know he can, then Bev will be the starter. The Lakers are tired of all the Russ lowlights from last year. It was embarrassing. But the big difference this year, Russ is on an expiring contract, which means even if he throws a giant fit about the benching, he's out next summer anyway. They don't have to deal with him. The expiring contract empowers the Lakers and Darvin Ham to make a tough decision. That's why I think it could actually happen. So next summer, Russ is going to be a free agent no matter what. It's time to start asking, is this the end of Russ's career? Dude doesn't want to come off the bench? Get used to it. What team is going to want him running their offense? The best you can hope for with a Russ-led team is maybe a 6 seed and a first-round exit. The only way for him to prove otherwise is to get traded and show he can still do great things. We know he wants a trade out of LA, so if things did get really heated, toxic locker room, they would be forced to trade Russ this year. And if you are a Laker fan who really wants them to deal Russ, you should root for that chaos. The only way that this happens is if Russ forces them to deal him with his bully attitude. My favorite videos to make are the story behind the story. Like, we hear this thing about Russ possibly being benched, and then we get to kind of unpack what's really happening behind the scenes. But my favorite one of those videos recently is how the Nets lied to Kevin Durant and fooled the entire world. Check it out.